Hey, wake up! It's me, your husband. You've been having those dreams again, haven't you? You know, the ones where you live in a world where brands just sell you things without taking politically divisive stands. It's not a real place, bro. Refusing to speak out against injustices as a corporation is a hate crime. But you must get up now or we'll be late for our global warming boosters. So we head down to the Bill Gates Centre of Diseases and roll up our sleeves ready for the monthly injection. But a tear starts to roll down your cheek as those thoughts that feel so alien yet so right begin to swirl. How did it come to this? What went wrong in your life to A, have me as your husband, and B, unquestionable obedience to the government enforced climate change inoculations? You don't know, but then again, how could you when CNN and MSNBC tell you that it will save democracy? And if you are ever to refuse it, then the orange man will eat the gender neutral trans children. We head off together out into the climate change. It's a hot day and the spike protein sweat that rolls down your cheek stings a little bit as yet more blood clots form within your veins. Hey, I say to you, we should get some vegan ice cream from that net zero Beyond Meat store down the road. You think it's a great idea, so we go and scan our Build Back Better microchips for entry and then head for aisle 10. But sadly, the wind was not blowing today, so the grid has failed and the freezer has melted. Oh, that's a shame, I say to you. I think we have a little bit left in the freezer at home. The lock to our door clicks loudly, echoing down the hallway of Building 6. We enter, and you sit upon the subscription sofa, ready to watch the view on our Meta VR headset. It feels good to be away from the outside world, and as Whoopi Goldberg begins telling you how the counter-narrative is bigotry, I pass you a small bowl. Tyrone is coming over later, I say to you. You're welcome to watch, but not if you're gonna cry again. You nod slowly as a disconcerting feeling begins to grow within. But a cold sensation touches your lip, and a small bite of the ice cream quickly rids the feeling of discontent. What is this, you ask me? Ben & Jerry's, I reply. It's the latest flavour, postnatal abortion. I saw it on the news. They take the newborn baby and a team of doctors make a decision. And each time that happens, Ben & Jerry's make more ice cream. A tear begins to roll down your cheek as that feeling of resentment begins to grow again. But you cannot utter the words that you feel, for they have corrupted the language beyond your lexicon. And besides, it's toxic masculinity to speak out against the narrative. History of Ben & Jerry's begin, and here we are in Burlington, Vermont, 1978, where Ben Cohen is sitting alone in a diner. He's feeling a little bit down today because his ambitions to marry the United States in holy commie matrimony to the Soviet Union has failed. But it's all not death and starvation though, because his friend Jerry Greenfield has just arrived to join him for a soy latte. So they get talking where Jerry is also having struggles of his own, as no university is accepting his application to study gender transition medicine for trans minors. Or it's not a good day, and even the coffee is cold. Ah, such a shame. But they're still young, and it's a big world out there with so many political issues to take a stand on. I think I have an idea, says Ben. Why don't we start a not-for-profit organisation where we put political pressure on our elected leaders to transition the United States into a socialist utopia, where everyone can be poets and artists. And they definitely won't starve to death this time, I promise. But Jerry isn't convinced, although he does like the idea of taking from those according to his ability and giving to those according to their freeloading needs. But it would take the power of an entire country to subvert the average American into thinking that would be a good idea. Why don't we just make something to sell and use it as a platform to grandstand our political views, asked Ben. If non-Sing Target can sell tuck-friendly clothing to minors, then surely we can too. Oh, that's a great idea, shouts Jerry. But what can we make that all those Americans will totally gobble up? How's about we make a light beer, asked Ben. You know, call it a friendly name like Buddy Light or Bud for short. Oh, that'll never work, replies Jerry. Drinking beer encourages toxic masculinity and free market capitalism. We should keep it neutral and subvert it. You know, something everyone likes. Something that if you have too much of, you become fat and less likely to become a far-right exercising extremist. That's very interesting. Something very sugary. Very neutral. Something enjoyed by everyone. Oh, this is really hard. Wait, no it's not, exclaims Ben as he watches an innocent child eating an ice cream. We could totally use a dessert to make a stand on issues that no one eating an ice cream cares about. And it's a great success. Quickly, Ben & Jerry's become a major brand of overpriced sugar-filled ice cream, aiding the Western obesity crisis and lowering testosterone levels across the world. And this catches the eye of the British Empire, where Unilever, a big food group, decide what better way to make money than to buy an ice cream company that takes divisive political stances for no reason, lowering their overall revenue. History of Ben & Jerry's over, and now the political nonsense. The year is 1981, and in Philadelphia, police officer Faulkner has just pulled over William Cook in a traffic stop. Seems pretty normal, right? Nope, because they start having a bit of a rough and tumble together, and a young Mumia Abu Jamal, who's Cook's brother, is thinking to himself, "Oh man, this is a hate crime because of reasons," so decides to execute the officer with a .38 revolver. That seems like a clear case of cold-blooded murder, right? Man gets gun, man shoots other man is arrested, case is closed. But that's not good enough, because Ben from Ben & Jerry's is utterly outraged by this, as Mumia isn't actually white, he's black, so obviously he's innocent of all charges, and begins signing petitions calling for his release. Of a convicted murderer. And from here, it's quickly revealed that Ben & Jerry's are actually the racists, who firmly believe that black people are too stupid to consciously commit crime like literal murder, or get a job on their own 2 feet. It's the bigotry of low expectations. And it's all institutional racism's fault, which is a very big claim from an ice cream company. Can they tell us where we can find this institutional racism? Is it in the room with us right now? Do we require a seance to speak to it? Who knows? But it doesn't end there, because Ben & Jerry's quickly become a major proponent of Black Lives Matter, releasing multiple press statements supporting the Hands Up Don't Shoot movement, which was founded on a media lie, and I never bothered to do any research. Oh, what? The media lied to us? Who would have thought? And then begin donating to BLM so Patrice Colours can buy herself another mansion, instead of actually helping develop majority black neighbourhoods. Which reminds me, when I used to use the old Facebooks during the time of George Floyd's, I remember seeing rockstars saying that they were going to shut down online gaming for a few hours to commemorate his legacy. Yeah, legacy. And I commented, why not use your money to help develop impoverished black majority neighbourhoods and improve their prospects in the future? And I ended up getting banned for it and called a racist. Kind of thought that would go a lot further than turning off a bloody online game for a few hours. But fuck me, I'm the bigot, right? Anyway, that's not all, because we've just got word that Australia doesn't allow same-sex marriages, which is unbelievable in Ben & Jerry's eyes. Even though when they changed their ice cream flavour to Yes Pekin to celebrate Obama's election victory, they didn't give 2 ships that he was against gay marriage at the time. But those pesky Australians with their court cats and good day mates, they're all a bunch of homophobes. So they decide, we can't be having this in a country that we have no ties to. Send the order that those upside down guys, until they approve our political stance, they can't have 2 scoops of the same ice cream in 1 cone. But not in the Middle East though, those guys can enjoy their 2 scoops and throwing homosexuals off rooftops. Wait, never mind, Australia just held a democratic referendum and voted to allow same-sex marriages, so they can enjoy their 2 scoops of flavour one more time, and it's almost as if an ice cream company influenced an entire nation. Or people just don't care anymore. Who knows? But what really does matter is Jimmy Fallon, the man who makes everyone laugh. Especially during lockdown, where if you weren't dying of corona, you were dying of cringe. And look, it's their new flavour, the Tonight Though, which is to promote the Serious Children's Fun Network, which is a charity that helps seriously ill children enjoy a day out with their family, which is actually a very noble thing. But there'll be more on that later. Because we've got to go to Sweden! Nice place, right? Of course it is! Sweden is a very peaceful Nordic country. Happy Swedish people with affinities for hand grenades! Wait, what? Well, it turns out that being peaceful tends to lead to left-wing governments that can't help but believe that everyone deep down is a really, really nice guy. So they imported half of Somalia. That resulted in mass gang conflict. Who would have thought when importing a war zone, you'd get a bloody war zone? But there's a bit of an issue though, because 9,000 women and children in Afghanistani asylum seekers who look like full-grown men have just rolled up to Sweden, and the immigration board have just realised something. These definitely women and children, so don't question it, have absolutely no right to stay in the country, so they start deportation proceedings. But Ben & Jerry's is utterly furious! Why should Sweden refuse entry to people who have no right to be there? It's disgusting! So they need to take a stance so large that everyone who has ever eaten an ice cream would get behind. They decide they'll support the asylum seekers. And the political pressure from the overpriced sugar snack was so damning that Sweden went full Titan submersible and cracked, allowing all those fully grown adult children men to stay. How's it going over there now in 2023? Not good, but it's definitely those Swedish people who keep committing all the hand grenade crimes. But shut up right now, everyone. We've just got news that the US has voted in an election and they elected the Orange Man, which is utterly terrible because Hillary Clinton paid an ex-MI5 agent to tell CNN that it was all Russia's fault. Oh, so that wasn't a free and fair election at all. Ben & Jerry's cannot stand this. It's killing democracy. So I have to think, how can we rally the masses against that evil, evil Orange Man? I have a great idea, says Jerry. We have the power of packaging and ice creams. Why don't we change our pecan range to pecan resist? That will show him that we have diversity on our side. So quick, send out the message. We don't support people that we disagree with. And it was a resounding success because in 2020, Trump was voted out of office by mail-in voting, the most secure method of running an election and not open to any type of fraud at all. And look, even in the UK, we know that, and that's why 6 Labour councillors got convicted. But what they really wanted was Bernie Sanders for president, the man who literally thinks socialism will totally work this time. But sadly, the multi-millionaire turned out to be as much a Democrat as the rest of them. The 2020 boat people. The United Kingdom, home of the British people, the Lions of Europe, hosting a wide selection of top hats and tea, arguably the best warring nation of all time, as throughout history we have been the victors against France, Germany, Spain, the Vikings, France again, and then France a few more times. Well practiced in the art of defense and led by very strong men. But something happened, and now this once great powerful nation is home to the socialists. During the year of 2020, a native French man had an idea. Since he had been refused asylum in France, why not take a boat to England and try there? And everyone around him was like, oh, that's a great idea because I've been refused asylum in France and the rest of Europe as well. So they begin getting their deeds together and set sail to invade the uninvadable. And it's a great success. They reached the beaches of the southeast coast. Oh, but they better be careful though, because here comes PC Plod. So they get ready for war. Wait, that's not what happens, because they're actually giving hotel rooms, free meals a day and pocket money. And this gets relayed back to France, where those native French people are like, that's really, really cool. I'm coming too. And from there, all the French women and children begin arriving on British shores, and are all given hotel rooms with free meals a day and pocket money. It's a great day for them, but not for the British people who are like, what? Why are we paying for definitely women and children fighting-aged men to live in hotel rooms when we have no idea who they are and some have literally murdered our British brothers? So they put political pressure on the Conservative Party, who can serve nothing, to do something about this. And Priti Patel, the Home Secretary at the time, is utterly shocked at learning about something that she knew full well was going on. And to please the plebs, she called for the UK Navy to get their big throbbing boats out and refuse those children invaders. This act of border defence reached the doorsteps of Ben & Jerry's, and they were enraged by the audacity of a country enforcing border protections. They begin firing out devastating tweets at the UK government. Hey, Priti Patel, we think the real crisis is our lack of humanity for the people fleeing war, climate change, and torture. We pulled together a thread for you, and then proceeded to call the failed French asylum seekers refugees, which is actually really insulting to NATO member and the European Court of Human Rights signatory Albania, because 40% of the fighting-age children are actually Albanian, and to finish up their triad, they say that people cannot be illegal. So that means that if people can't be illegal crossing borders, then invading Poland wasn't illegal. Why the hell did we fight a big war over it if Ben & Jerry says it was totally fine? So the war of words begin when the UK government moves to punish the ice cream brand by calling them overpriced junk food. But who actually won this argument? The ice cream manufacturer or the elected government of the United Kingdom? Well, it was actually Ben & Jerry's, because it's now 2023 and we have even more boat people. Oh, and a lot more murderers and assaults on women. Wonder who's doing that? But at least we aren't the hand grenade capital of Europe, just the stabbing capital. Ice cream eats humble pie. It's been well established by now that the hashtag Be Kind people are quite literally the nastiest people on the internet, and those who promote the most virtuous values tend to be the ones whose actions are built on vicious narcissism. And although Ben & Jerry's like to donate to seriously ill children's charities, they make sure that those children aren't migrants, because it turns out that they don't give a shite about them. Enter the New York Times, who conducted a little investigation on supply chains, and it turns out that those very special cows that squirt all the cow juice were being juiced by underage migrant children working up to 12 hours a day. Ah, what a surprise! It's not like a major company wouldn't know about their own supply chains. So they come out with a press release. Ben & Jerry's is opposed to child labour in any kind whatsoever. Well, that certainly clears that mess up, because all those Be Kind supporters on the internet were actually completely cool about it rather than boycotting a company that literally uses child labour. The cell phone of the century. Over in the United Kingdom, we don't have an Independence Day because, well, we don't need one. But for some reason, everyone else does. Wonder how that happened. And one country in particular really enjoys that Independence Day, and that place is America. Enter the 4th of July 2023, and the country is firing up their barbecues and sipping on Coors Light. It's a sunny day, and the family are all sitting around the computer waiting for the latest tweet from their favourite ice cream brand. And at 2 PM, that tweet drops. The United States was founded on stolen indigenous land. This 4th of July, let's commit to returning it. And then the whole of Britain agreed. Give us back our land, you damn dirty traitors! But those Americans did not take too kindly to such a message, and what ensued was riotous outrage. On the streets, they began marching, calling for just one day a bloody year where an ice cream company shuts the fuck up and lets people enjoy it. But that's not all though, because even the left were enraged with them, saying, but actually, you guys need to apologise to those millions of cows you milked without consent. It's colonialist misogyny. Oh, cow trauma. It's all hot air though, right? Because a political tweet surely cannot have real life ramifications, can it? Oh boy, aren't you wrong? Because it turns out that Ben & Jerry's headquarters is actually built on indigenous land. Insert the Mohegan tribe, who saw that tweet on smoke signals and were like, what? Really? Ben & Jerry's want to return the land to us? That's great news! So they issue a statement. Hey, Ben & Jerry's, we think it's really cool that you will return the indigenous land. Can we have our land back too? But behind the scenes, Ben & Jerry goes into utter meltdown mode. How did that tweet backfire so spectacularly? It was only there so guilt-riddled white people would like us. We didn't expect to be held to account for our own words. That's for Republicans. So what do? Do they take responsibility and engage with the Mohegan tribe? Or remain completely silent as Unilever reels in the background of yet another political stance that divides their consumer base, resulting in a loss of profits? Any ideas? No? Well, they pull a Bud Light and go dark, glossing over the fact that they inadvertently scored a massive home goal. Until the 12th of July, when they tweet out about their fudge brownie flavoured ice cream, and their comments were glorious, because it turns out it's not just political trash, but they're also hypocritical political trash, and they found themselves in a very Bud Light hole. Do they come out, apologise, and blame it on an intern like the rest of the companies do, or take responsibility, then return the land back and rent it from the Mohegan tribe? It's kind of hard to say when they won't address their own political stance. Kind of getting the idea that grandstanding is just that, but who knows? Maybe one day there will be part 2 of this video and they would have handed back the land, pissing off Unilever even more, and suffer a massive stock crash so I can laugh into my Häagen-Dazs. And that's pretty much it. Although that's actually really not. The video could have easily been an hour long for all the bullcrap they've come out with. And I do wonder what will happen on the next 4th of July. Will they post something equally as stupid, like giving back the southern states to Mexico, or the Rust Belt back to dirty France?
Subscribe button.
Is always right.